Hey guys, I'm Brenda Whip. I am Miss Huron 2020, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make my favorite drink, cold brew iced sweet tea. Alright, to make this sweet tea, it is super easy. All of the tools you're going to need are actually Tupperware, which reminds me of our sponsor today. Jan Whip, who is my mother, is sponsoring today's video. She sells Tupperware. All this stuff came from her kitchen or mine, and it's all Tupperware. So let's get into this. First, what you're going to need is the Tupperware Cold Brew Carafe. Now, usually cold brew makers are used to make coffee. Well, unfortunately, I don't like coffee. I have too much of a sweet tooth for that. So I make my tea in my cold brew carafe. So we're gonna need this. You're also going to need a Tupperware water bottle. So I use the Eco water bottle from Tupperware. It's a 1 liter one. The amount fits perfectly in here, and this is what I use to not only fill up my carafe with water, but also where I put my tea afterwards. It makes serving it up super easy. So I have my Tupperware water bottle, and you're also going to need some tea. So I use the Lipton cold brew tea. I used to use 2 bags, but now I only use 1, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. And finally, if you have a sweet tooth like I do, you're gonna need some sugar. So what I always keep my sugar in is the One Touch canister from Tupperware. Now, it doesn't look like this anymore. It's a lot older of a style, but I love Tupperware canisters. It keeps everything super fresh, and especially with the sugar, there's no clumping or anything. It's totally awesome, so highly recommend these canisters. So let's get into making some cold brew iced tea. So let's get into actually making the cold brew. This is the easiest cold brew maker I've seen anyone use. And there's 3 parts to it. You have the base, which is where the liquid goes, the filter, where either the coffee grounds go if you're making cold brew coffee, or the tea bag if you're making tea like me, and then you have the lid. The lid just sits on there. It doesn't seal it at all, so it's not spill proof or anything. But what's awesome about the lid is when you are taking your cold brew beverage out and using it, the filter can just sit in there and it will collect any of the extra liquid in the bottom, so you don't make a mess at all. So to make the cold brew, I put the filter into the base, and I'm going to be using the Lipton cold brew tea bags. These are just my favorite. You can use any cold brew tea bags that you like. And I'm going to be using 1 tea bag. You can use 2 if you want it in a shorter amount of time, but I've just found I might as well just use 1, and it makes the tea bags last a little bit longer, and I'll just do it overnight. What I usually do is I make my cold brew in the early evening, afternoon time period the night before I would like it, and then by morning it is totally ready. If you want stronger tea, you just leave it in for longer or use 2 tea bags. It usually takes about 8 to 12 hours. So I put my tea bag into the filter, and I leave the string out. This makes it really easy to be able to remove the tea bag after you're done making your cold brew. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Tupperware water bottle. This is the Eco water bottle from Tupperware. It's 1 liter, and I fill it up with water. This way I know how much liquid is going in. So this is originally made for coffee. So with the coffee grounds in there, if you fill it all the way to the top, it averages to produce about 1 liter of coffee. But with tea, you only have a tea bag in there, so you're not gonna be able to put as much liquid depending on what container you put it in. I found that once I make the tea and I just put it right back in here, it's a lot easier to shake it up because I put a lot of sugar in it because I have a bad sweet tooth. So I measure out the water in the water bottle so that I can put it into the carafe. All right, so I'm gonna take the water and I'm just gonna pop the top off, and I'm going to slowly pour. Now this is chilled water. I usually just use colder chilled water just from the tap. I'm going to slowly pour it in here so it can get into all of the tea bag and fully saturate it. So I'm just going to slowly pour it in. And you can start seeing a little bit of coloration, but not too much from the tea. As you can see, the liquid is not filled all the way up to the top. If you're putting your tea in a lot larger of a container or a pitcher or something like that, you can go ahead and fill it all the way up to the top. It will make that amount. I just personally like just throwing this into the fridge. It's a lot sleeker and doesn't take up quite as much room. So that's why I only put this amount of liquid in it. So there's a little bit of coloration that you can see there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the lid on and we're going to put it in the fridge for 8 to 12 hours. When I'm using one tea bag, it usually takes about that 10 to 12 hour range to get it how dark I like my tea, but you can leave it in there for however strong or how light you like your tea. So the tea just came out of the fridge. It was in there for about 8 to 12 hours. I like my tea really dark, so I tend to leave it in a lot longer than I maybe should because I like my tea super concentrated and dark. So to get the tea out, you take off the lid and then you take out the filter. And I usually hold the tea bag with one of my fingers so the string doesn't fall in, so that it isn't harder to get it out. And I just let it drip a little bit so that we can get all that yummy goodness into the carafe. And then I take the lid and I put the filter on top of that and set that aside. The lid will catch any of the extra liquid. Next, what I do is I take my liter Tupperware water bottle, and this is what I use to fill it up with, so I know that the exact amount of liquid will fit in here. And I take the tea and I pour it in. I've had a lot of practice, so I don't need a funnel, but you can sure use a funnel if you need to. As you can see, it fits perfectly with a few bubbles at the top because I just poured it. So as I mentioned, I have a really bad sweet tooth, so I add a lot of sugar to mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Tupperware canister with my sugar in it, and I end up putting quite a bit of sugar in. You can surely use a sweetener substitute. I oftentimes put stevia in, or you can do Splenda, whatever you like as a sweetener if you want sweet tea. What I do is I take my sugar, and I'm going to add quite a bit, and I just kind of use my hands as a funnel, but you can sure use a funnel if you'd like to. And I just pour that into the water bottle. I usually add a decent amount of sugar. And so after I add the sugar in, I take the lid and I put it onto my water bottle, and it's airtight, and I shake it. This makes it so all of the sugar gets all blended in and it's not just settling at the bottom. And then what I do is I put this back into the fridge, and I can drink it right away, but if I leave it in the fridge for a while, I'll just shake it up. Whenever I am at the fridge getting a glass of milk or whatever, I'll just shake it up so that none of the sugar ends up in the bottom. And this is how I make my sweet tea. So we've just taken the sweet tea out and we put it inside of the water bottle. And so we have the Tupperware carafe left. So we have the base, and then you take the filter and you can just put it back in so that it doesn't spill anywhere. But I throw away the tea bag. I personally would not recommend reusing it because it would take a whole awful lot more time to make. So I just throw away the tea bag, and you can just wash it right in the sink. Don't stick in the dishwasher. With the tea, it's a super easy cleanup. Just wash it right in the sink and it's ready for next time. Thanks for watching how I make my favorite beverage, cold brew sweet iced tea. If you want to see more tutorials or anything, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.